The replay thread thought it was strong, but I am stronger. I will conquer the replay thread and cast its games. For I am Swkoll, and I will be your host for this game between Mr. Smith and R.A. Mad Mozart. It's been so long since I casted with this beautiful, beautiful video quality. Look at this. There are trees. You can make out the individual trees. I've been streaming a lot on Twitch recently, and not enough local casting to get the high video and audio quality out. Which is nice. Sometimes you just want to sit back, stream a bit, or have all that casual streaming going, but sometimes you want the fraps, you want the audacity. You want a Mr. Smith versus R.A. Mad Mozart on Loki. Of course, infamous Mr. Smith. I don't know why he's infamous, but he can be. You can never trust those Cyberns too much. And we have Mad Mozart, who of course is mad, so he could also be the villain. So this game is two villains going at each other, both incredibly evil. One mad, the other Cybern. Just look at those jagged edges. Clearly evil, if Hollywood has taught me anything. Mr. Smith did post this to the forum. It was him. It's all his fault. Mr. Smith, okay, just gonna open them with those 3 NGs. One grabbing this. One going to the top, and one going to the right. Fairly standard stuff. Mad Mozart are gonna shake things up a little bit. He's gonna go ahead with a full 7 pigeons, sending 1 NG out, very early tank to the middle, trying to pick off this engineer, but Mantis Mole should lose to a tank, depending on how good the micro is from Mr. Smith. But the buildings can mess up this tank, can ruin its day, but nice hit on the scout that'll let the tank get the first hit. Oh, the Mantis is dodging. It's got nothing on this tank. Pulls back. Tank trying to handle it. Seems to be doing a decent job. But can it hold? But oh no, there's a second Mantis. Tank dodging the shots. Oh. He's got dancing tank skills. Two Mantis gonna shut that tank down. Snoop gets away, and that early pressure is denied. Of course, another tank here might be able to take on these 2 Mantis. 2 Mantis combined have less than a full Mantis health, but they do have twice the DPS of this tank. Actually, more than twice, because Mantis. Well, in fact, Mantis, despite the less health, actually have more DPS than a tank. Though it isn't always noticeable because the firing cycle on a tank is, how do I describe it? It's more front-loaded, if you will. But this tank here trying to intercept this, but oh, there's a point defense, so that's not going to get anywhere. Bombers coming out roughly the same time. Mr. Smith slightly more optimized, getting that out seconds faster. Cyber Bomber tries to come off, misses the drop. Height maps, problems, and a great dodge from Mad Mozart will allow the twins. Second bomber coming out from Mr. Smith does get that NG though. Now the Inti is out. Can he shoot down the bombers before it gets any more kills? He could. It's a possibility. But this bomber looking to pick up this NG, expanding, and that's a devastating loss for Mr. Smith. That was a critical NG getting a factory up in this position. It is now dead. This NG was kind of important, but these mass extractors, of course, are much closer to Mad Mozart's base. Engineers increase in value the further away they are, because they were built earlier, and thus mass inflation says that they were worth more at the time they were constructed. Also, TA, if you're watching this, you should do a video on mass inflation. You did some nice graphs a while back. I was quite fond of those. I'm not smart enough to really explain the concept, but I think you could do a nice job. Mass inflation, of course, being the concept that because your eco can snowball, and you get more mass income over time. Mouse becomes less valuable. And thus all units will decrease value with time unless they're actively moving away from the spot they were created. Or at least I believe that's how it works. And a little tank mantis fight. Tank gets away. Does get the vet just in time. And a little pressure from Mad Mozart. Mad Mozart doing something completely unconventional. Going to use his ACU incredibly aggressively. Not even sending his ACU up on this cliff. Going to send it right into this hill area over here. Ready to apply that pressure that he needs to win. Possibly working under the theory that if he can control these mexes, he can win the game. She isn't necessarily wrong. This bomber's a bit derpy. Might want to come around and try to kill some power production engineers. Mr. Smith for a decent amount of power production. Only 2 engineers for Mad Mozart, which is much more reasonable. Of course, this engineer AC is going to be a bit derpy, not there to protect its tanks. Tanks must retreat, but tanks cannot always retreat because Mantis have speed. And Mozart, get in there, defend your tanks. A nice run by from Mad Mozart, though. I'm gonna do this. Now sort of expanding quite decently slowly, but decently. It was fast enough. Mozart just gonna follow these tanks these Mantis all the way up. Do a load of kills, but bringing his ACU very far back. Looks like this bomber's found its place again. Goes after the mechs. Could have got a kill on the radar there. Nice tank here. Ready to deny any engineers that we get across. Somehow this radar only took 8 damage. How does that happen? But massive land spam through the middle from Mad Mozart. The saving grace, Tech 1, gesture spam. Little flak and few inties for Mad Mozart could spell devastation for his land army that now approaches Mr. Smith's base. Mr. Smith, he's got no point defense. He's losing his radar. He's about to lose his power. That would be dreadful. He's got engineers and tanks in the back, tanks in the front. Mr. Smith's eco, how can his eco hold this? He's mass stalling. It's fine, guys. It's fine. He's losing his build capacity, though. Can't really spam those gestures up as fast as he would like, especially once his power's all dead. Option not to build many factories and just go for this air. He's trying to tech lots of mass extractors. Of course, RA, minimal teching. Do a nice aggressive pressure. A nice defense with air, but will it be enough? Mr. Smith vastly behind in the power game now. Actually, Mr. Smith now not actually that far behind. His eco is doing okay. Now that he doesn't have the build capacity on his factory anymore, he doesn't need that power. Of course, ACU pressure with Mantis, this isn't going to stop much. These mechs should have been dead a while back. Of course, Mad Mozart now realizing he's behind has to switch lots more build capacity to air. Of course, Mad Mozart going to grab this top expansion while he loses the bottom one, keeping the map control in his favor. He's behind but didn't score. That's fine. Mad Mozart retaking that air control. Of course, with 3 NGs on power production, he'll quickly get back in that air game. It's a reclaim will be nice. The problem, of course, will be map control. Would have been a nice attempt to capture that factory, but Mr. Smith runs the risk of getting cut off here. There's a lot of forces coming down from Mad Mozart. Nice gesture play, getting in there. 12 kills, all the vet that he needs, all the vet he wants. Inti's slow to respond. It's one of the biggest disadvantage of the Interceptor is the speed. Cannot respond to those air threats well. So it has to run all over the place to get to them. Forces retreat. Try to deal the damage. Nice hits from these Medusas, stunning multiple tanks at once, especially the tanks in the front. Force trying to get in there, trying to apply the pressure to these factories. It's just not happening. There's just too many Mantis here, and the point defense secures them quite well. Tech 2 gunships out on the field. transition to tech-to-air has been made. Mr. Smith trying to keep that power alive, but I don't know if he can do it. Of course, now there's a lot of mass here. No tech-to-flak on the field. Means that someone's having a lucky day. Mad Mozart was busy doing the tech-to-air transition of his own. But will it be enough? Who can win the air game? Both these players incredibly even on the power front. Slightly better teching for Mr. Smith, and map control completely even. Oh, actually, Mad Mozart, I think. A little better on the teching. No, only they threw massive tractors. Mad Mozart trying to get power with his AC, realizing how important the power game is going to be. Just skyrocketing ahead in that power. No NG mod, just multiple air factories. This has become a game of who can get the most air control quickly. Of course, Mr. Smith just going to get all that mass. He's been doing fine. 10k reclaimed versus 3k reclaimed. It's all these attacks, this attack and this attack, that are really winning the game. No transition to tech to land is really going to mean that tech to air doesn't really become not that viable at any decent rate. More power from Mr. Smith, staying competitive, getting that tech to power. Very important stuff. As this raid goes forward, kills a few Tech 1 massive tractors. This Mantis army is mostly dead. And in TC Collect, they'll be able to clean up some of those gunships. Other gunships, meanwhile, playing defense versus these tanks that are trying to take out massive tractors. Of course, Lobos took out the Tech 1 point defense, but will it be enough? Will these forces have enough chance to raid and win this battle with the Mantis? Air control completely contested all the time, trying to get Hydros up. The air game's a mess. These players just spamming. Mad Mozart just has not enough mass. Mr. Smith has not enough power. Not enough power by a long shot. He's like, I thought I was Tech 3 air spamming. What do you mean this is Tech 2? Of course putting this much build capacity on interceptors is realistic. What are you talking about? And of course, another air battle being provoked by Mad Mozart, going to go in there trying to focus on those gunships. Will manage to take one out, but interceptor numbers also in favor of Mad Mozart. Maybe focusing on those gunships was a little much. Looks like Mad Mozart might be able to win this. Actually, Mr. Smith, with the interceptors just flowing in from the factory so quickly, he's able to turn the fight and pull a win in the air game. Mad Mozart prematurely switching to that gunship play, but that won't be enough with Mr. Smith having air control. And Mozart trying to get factories. Although, a little damage there. Might hurt a bit. But the tanks are in position to run forward. AoE gunships doing their best to keep the tanks at bay, but can they stop them? Tanks do retreat. Looks like the base is safe for now. Zoom, zoom. Using 2,000 power to spam inties? Heck yeah. What do you mean this isn't the meta? I don't care, I don't have time for a Tech 3 upgrade. Inties will have to do. But the thing is, Mad Mozart are really falling behind in both the mass game and the power game. I mean, Mr. Smith doesn't even have these mixes. He's made the critical mistake. Actually, no, he did make the critical mistake I was thinking of. Gunship play from Mozart simply not going to do it. And our villain's villain might not be able to do too much. Oh, the bombers come out. Tech 2 bombers doing excellent work against these forces. There has to be Tech 2 flank and lots of it. Mad Mozart, will he make the transition? Oh no, the gunships are in the base. There's nothing to keep them out, doing massive damage. All the build capacity dying. And Mozart can't really spam anymore. The int is getting pulled back, but can he even win over his own base? There's a single static flak. I don't think that'll be able to do it. Of course, the mass from the air fight, definitely beneficial. And Mozart winning air control locally, but a big land battle with gunships and all seems to be swayed in favor of Mr. Smith not having to mix in those mobile flags. Very advantageous. Of course, another battle on the bottom. Less mobile flags here, but the Corsairs doing wonderful work. Wonderful work. Mr. Smith He's got Tech 2. He's going to defend this with Tech 2 point defense, and that will be extremely effective, especially because no Tech 2 land. This is going to go to Tech 2 land. This probably might go Tech 2 land. No, it's just going to build nothing. I'd say that would be equally viable, but that'll be lying. Perhaps he feels that he can just invest the mass in more interceptors and he'll be fine. He might be right in that. He might completely know what he's doing, but he's behind in the power game. He just doesn't have enough build capacity on interceptors to continuously win the air game. Look at that speed. Have you seen interceptor production like that? I've seen ASF production like that. But this is like sentence level of ASF production, and these are interceptors. Got nothing on ASF. Mr. Smith building inties because he can. I mean, this must be at least one intie a second. One army's trying to see if they can move in. They think they might. And Mozart, 54 tanks. Mr. Smith, 79 Manti. Yeah, it's not a fair fight, but there are a few low blows. Full man Mozart will give him that. And looks like, by some fluke, and some micro, Mad Mozart wins air control. Power of parallel production has paid off. And now, without any mobile flaks, the gunships can do absolutely crazy things. Trying to get static flak up with the engineers, that's not going to work. Tech 2 land now out, pillars, flak, teching, all that great stuff. Corsairs being surprisingly effective. And sort of this kind of half retreat from Mad Mozart into the Tech 2 land. Tech 2 land, of course, going to be very effective against these Manti. Of course, going with the pillar. Pillar much more resistant in case he loses air again. That extra health. And now raids from the gunships come around to try to deny map control. But a huge reclaim field being created here, and just more and more inties. More inties, more. They need more, we demand more. TML from Mr. Smith. And no TMD, this could spell disaster for Mad Mozart's economy, as he does not have any TMD. Has he scouted? Does he know? Does he know? He does not know. He knows about the flak. That's not enough. He needs to know about the TMD, which could be devastating, especially now that he's lost his air. I don't know. Air control is very disputable. Also TML for Mad Mozart, but there is TMD here. Wait, there's one. It's almost enough. Look at this. Covers most things. And an engagement with Mr. Smith's ACU in the mix. Gunships are brought in. Focus down Mr. Smith's ACU. Force him to retreat to the Tech 2 flax. Tech 2 flax, of course, going to do wonderful things. But attempts to put on pressure. Failing. This TMD is now loaded. It's ready to go. Air control definitely in the hands of Mr. Smith. Of course, this TML might get a few shots off, but that won't be too much. These mixes in jeopardy. There's no Tech 2 land on this half of the map. And Mozart has been fighting 2 battles here, and he's about to lose both of them. And Mozart with his ACU, he doesn't know what to do. He's got pillar production. But this, he stomped into production out of his main factory. He cannot compete with this. Doop, doop, doop. Pillars doing wonderful things, but if Mad Mozart could control this reclaim field, he might have a chance. Of course, with air control not belonging him to the slayers. Oh, and the TML come in, get the kills. TMD forced up immediately, but this is Cybern TML. The fight to defend against it is long, hard, and painful. And plagued by many splitting missiles. They're obnoxious, as they are painful. Gunships hiding out in the water. They can't be spotted by the NTs because they're submerged. You don't see them. They're in hiding. That was always a weird thing. Also, how you can like target a fatty with ASF if it has an ASF landed on it. That was weird. And finally, the Tech-2 Flak has arrived on the battlefield. Tech-2 Flak, it takes no prisoners. It just kills all of the gunships. All of them. It spares no one. And more TML comes in. But is the TMD enough? Possibly. Almost. It's almost enough. It's almost enough. What more TMD is required, and the ring of air has been constructed by Mr. Smith. As you can see, it is air in a ring, saying, "No, this is my air control. You should not have it." Mr. Smith, of course, lots of power. Mr. Smith, why are you still on Tech 1 air production? Build ASF. At least build strats or something. You're winning so much in the air game. You have twice the power of Mad Mozart. Of course, he's only up 10 mass. I mean, Mad Mozart can't even use his power. He's fine. Mr. Smith lots of mass, though. He's floating most of his power. And there is the Tech 3 air transition. I built 4K power before I transitioned to air. Not bad, not too bad. TML being useful, taking out these perimeter defenses and their walls. Never liked walls anyway. But the gunships are in the base. They're focusing the build capacity and now the mass. There's no flak. Build some flak guy. Before they murder you all. Mobile flak production going down. Somehow being slightly effective in the land battle is won by Mad Mozart. The victory he needed. Now able to take out some of this map control. Even it out to a degree. Armies of NGs are ready, but the Tech-2 mexes are down. Mad Mozart does not have the eco. Gunship's NG's just gonna get out of there now. They're done. It's enough. The Strat Bomber is ready. It knows what it has to do. Tanks thinking about rushing in. There is Tech-2 point defense though. Perhaps out of desperation, more than anything else. Running away from one man's force into another. The Strat Bomber comes out. And spotted. Can it be shot down? No, there is no air. There is nothing. Mad Mozart is about to find his fate. He's got 2 Tech-2 flaks. But the bomber getting all the kills. 14 kills for that bomber. Other second bomber coming out. Mad Mozart building this with what eco? Or Mr. Smith building this with what eco? No eco apparently. But the reclaim to fund a small army. And funding a small army he shall. 3 times the reclaimed. Instantly blowing huge holes in any Tech 1 land force. Just bombs dropping. Randomly. Nice micro. Ballsy gunships for Mad Mozart trying to deny this land spam. It's being built on his shores. But I don't think it'll be enough. GG! Mad Mozart, is that the Control K? Inappropriate word, that land spam. Or air spam. As that was an evil air spam. Evil Saturn planes win the day again for our enemy hero, Mr. Smith. So thank you for watching. I don't know if the cast made any sense. It might have. That much. And I do have to admire Mad Mozart's resolve, sticking with that, trying to get that air production out, but just the Tech-2 power is really doing it in for Mr. Smith. Mad Mozart, of course, investments in the Tech-2 land. Possibly not enough. Flaks may be distributed more. Might have been helpful. But anyway, this was a very strong play from both of these very good, very evenly matched players. So I hope you enjoyed watching it, and good night.